I'm Russell Payne. This is the Vindicators Candidate Spotlights. We'll be talking the mayor's race in Dayton with Mayor Martin Mudd here in just a moment. Before we get to that, let me go over some election information for you. Early voting gets underway Monday, April the 20th, runs through Tuesday, April 28th. There will be a day off on Tuesday, April 21st, as Texas celebrates San Jacinto Day. And you can vote at different polling locations across the county that are open. You can look those up at libertycountyelections.com. And election day is Saturday, May the 2nd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And, we'll have election results for you that night as well. Tune in to the Vindicator on our Facebook platform or our website to get those results. But in the meantime, let's talk the mayor's race in Dayton. And we're here with Mayor Martin Mudd. And Mayor, you know, to introduce yourself.
I'm Mayor Martin Mudd, Dayton, Texas. I want to say thank you for having me, Russell. I really appreciate it. And just here to try to answer some questions and try to tell you a little bit about myself. Hopefully you'll learn something before we're done.
All right. Well, let's get into it. So we've asked all the candidates for mayor, both in Liberty and in Dayton, 3 pressing issues facing the city right now. What do you think those are?
Number one, I'm going to say, obviously our traffic. And number 2 is we're facing a issue with our current sewer plant, that nobody likes to talk about the sewer, but we've got an issue that is facing the city with sewer plant. So a little bit of some infrastructure issues going on, with the need for a new water well, things like that. And then obviously, the same with every city is, we're rectifying the financial situation of the city.
All right. With the infrastructure, with your opponent, we talked about how you see folks on social media talk about there's not any room in Dayton for infrastructure, for anything else to come in. Well, there in fact is, right? Plenty of land out there, and
Yeah.
And how do you address that infrastructure issue? Because not only are you addressing the existing infrastructure issue, but what will eventually need to expand.
Right. So that is something that when I took office, I had a conversation with our city manager at the time, and then again with City Manager Woods after he came on board. One of my biggest focuses is infrastructure and planning for the future. I've often said I don't mind the growth, but I want mitigated growth. And the way to mitigate the growth is to do the future planning. And by doing that, we have actively started working on our water and sewer lines, trying to shore those up in the existing neighborhoods, as well as working with our developers to put parameters around how they're putting the infrastructure in, how it goes in on the new subdivision. So in the future, we've also worked with several developers to have a second water well built. So newsflash, we're not getting just one water well, we're getting actually 2 water wells due to an agreement that we have with 2 other developers. What they have also done is they have also stepped up to the plate to help us plan for the future. They have helped us run main 12-inch force main water lines all the way out to 99. So we've got city water, city sewer going all the way out to 99 to help facilitate the new growth that's coming. In addition to, we'll have a water well out there, another water well over here in the city that we're building. And so we're trying to mitigate those issues. The other thing that we are doing is planning for the future. We started looking at our sewer plant. Now our sewer plant is not at capacity. It's just about 45% capacity at this point, which is a long way to grow. But we are doing some work to it. We are going to be replacing the pumps in it. We're going to be replacing some lift stations. We went out and got some grants to get some funds to help take care of that. And so it's more cost, but it's not passed back to the taxpayer. It's actually being government funded through grants.
Right. You're seeking your second term as a mayor. What are some of the accomplishments that you're most proud of over that first term?
One of the most proud that I am of one accomplishment is the overpass. As everybody can see, the traffic has gotten worse. I warned about that for the almost the entirety of my tenure, is that it was going to get worse before it got better. But one thing that I am very proud of is to see, I drove past there yesterday. They put the pilings in. They're fixing to start pouring concrete on all the pilings to get it elevated. And so that's going to be a huge thing, because I know that the railroad, with things going on, there's going to be more trains, there's going to be more traffic there that would cause the city to back up. And to be able to mitigate that with putting a new overpass in and actually seeing traction on that, it's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of pounding on TxDOT's door, pounding on UP's door over the last 3 years, and just thankfully we were able to come to a consensus and get started.
All right. If you had a chance to do something over again for your first term,
if I had something to do over again, I would probably rethink the $8 million bond that we did. Originally, they had approached us and said, we want $10 million. Me and a couple of other council members pushed back and said we don't want to do $8 million or a $10 million tax burden on the city. We ended up settling on $6 million. Obviously, we don't know what we don't know, and hindsight's always 20/20. So when we look back now and we see how cheap things were going to be, then we probably would have done less of a tax burden on the city. But we were going off the information that we had at the time and making the best decision that we could.
You want to talk about what that bond was spent on?
That bond was ultimately spent on building up our public safety, building up our parks, building up our the main thing that it was doing was building a new water well. And so we passed the bond. Unfortunately, under our previous city manager, we didn't get any traction on even building the water tower, or the new water tower. And so now we're making progress on that. We've used that to refurbish some of the vehicles and things, and trying to update technology in the city, update technology for our police department, first responders, to make sure that they have the best that they can get.
Okay. What sets you apart from your opponent?
That's a hard question. One of the things that sets me apart is I'm very much a fiscal conservative. I feel like, and the reason I say that is when I took office, there were several things that the previous city council had voted for. One of those was the water increase. And it was a water increase that was going to be increasing 8% over an infinite amount of years. There was never really a defined time. I was told it was roughly going to be 10 years. By the time I took office, it had re-upped twice, which, with all the math, it was the water rates went up 22% over 2 years. And so when I came into office, I immediately went to our city manager and said, we're going to put that on the agenda to stop that. We don't need it. We don't need the money. And so we don't need to place that undue tax burden. And so we got that removed. And since then, we haven't seen a single water increase since then. The other thing that I feel like sets me apart is there's just some things that my opponent and I disagree on. There's things that he voted for that I would not have voted for or advocated for, just simply in the best interest of the city.
Want to elaborate on what those things were?
I don't really want to get into mudslinging. Let's just say that we're different.
No. Anything else you want to share with voters?
I want to share with voters that, hey, May the 2nd, we've got a re-election coming up in Dayton, and would love and appreciate your support. Want to let people know that, we've got tremendous momentum right now in the city. I've been on Facebook. I don't terribly like some of the groups on there, but I see the complaints. I've tried to make myself as available as I can be to field those complaints. One of the things that the main complaints has been traffic. And so what I can say to you is that when it comes to the roads that we can control, which are anything that is a named road, not anything that's named with a number, not anything that's named with a CR or anything like that, but an actual name road. We are working on those. We are trying to get those potholes taken care of. We're repaving roads. We're pulling up roads and fixing the water, sewer, and gas lines under them. That's why it takes a little bit longer for us to get. But we're trying to future-proof the city, and so that's what I want to make sure that people understand is that a lot of what people talk about is the main roads that go through Dayton, which is 90, 146, 321. Those are all roads connected and managed by TxDOT. We can't even pave all the way up to those roads. We don't touch them. And so we have started quarterly meetings with TxDOT under my direction and leadership. Thankfully, we've had a great team that has come in place in Beaumont, and they are very much willing to listen and very much willing to work with us. And so we have one of the things that we've done, Russell, is we worked with TxDOT. They came in and installed what is called a SmartNet system. With the SmartNet system, what they are able to do now is they are able to remotely control all of the lights in Dayton. They not only put in the SmartNet system for the lights, but they've also put in a camera system where they get live feeds. That is actually now the cameras are on HoustonMetro.com. You can go there and see the camera, see the traffic. Obviously, it's not live. I think it's like a 15-minute delay on those sites, but they have the ability to do that. They've also, at our direction, tried to be more transparent with the city of what's going on. So they've posted these new billboards outside of town until we can get permanent ones that, they've got a camera. It's actually kind of crazy. They've got a camera that faces the railroad track. Mm-hmm. So anytime there's a train that comes in, I've actually seen the camera. Anytime the train comes in, they can see it. They posted on the billboards that there is a train on the track. Mm-hmm. Please be, they also have the ability to change the frequency or change the lights. So gone are the days of the lights getting, out of sync just because we get a power outage. Now they have the ability to log in on the fly and change those traffic patterns as they see things adjust. And I've heard great things. The one thing that we cannot control is the fact that Dayton is a hub. It's a hub between Mont Bellevue and Baytown and Beaumont. And anytime that I-10 hiccups, TxDOT actually goes on their screens on I-10 and tells people to go down Highway 90. Mm-hmm. So I know a couple of weeks ago there was this massive wreck on Highway 9 or on I-10, and they shut the freeway down for about 6 hours, and it was like bumper to bumper traffic from Mont Bellevue all the way to Devers. Mm-hmm. There's literally nothing we can do about that. We called TxDOT. I'm calling TxDOT saying, "Hey, stop telling people to come here. We're full. We can't do it." But again, we don't control those roads. No. And so what we are doing, we are working with them to try to do measures that are better than what we have in the past. The issue, and I've heard, and I'm trying to address a lot right now, but what I've heard is that people, they say, well, you need to give people tickets. Please explain to our police department where we're going to pull anybody over on Highway 90 in the middle of Dayton. There's literally no room. There's no shoulder, there's no way to pull people over. So by the time you get them all the way to the other end, they may have turned off somewhere else and went. And so, we are, our police department is working with TxDOT. We are working with them trying to find a solution. But in the meantime, please just be patient while we get this overpass done. Once the overpass is done, the traffic will flow a lot more smoothly through the city. We're also working on something with them to help alleviate the traffic coming down 1409 out to Kennebec. Mm-hmm. So that is something that we're going to be announcing here shortly, but not at liberty to say exactly what that is yet.
All right. Well, just again, to quick recap, Monday, April the 20th, the early voting period begins. There will be close on April 21st for San Jacinto Day, pick back up the following day, and run through Tuesday, April the 28th. You can find times, locations at libertycountyelections.com. Also, Election Day is Saturday, May the 2nd, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We'll have election results for you that night at thevindicator.com, our Facebook page, and our Twitter, and wherever else we can plaster that for you. In the meantime, you want to close this out?
I want to close this out and say I love this city. I've been here for almost 12 years. I believe that the city has great potential. We are the last Wild West frontier out of Houston, if you look at it. And so that's why we're seeing so much growth. And growth is a good thing. Growth is a good thing. That means that there will be more taxes coming into the city from the new growth that's coming. Thus, we can lower our tax rate and how much everyone has to pay. Mm-hmm. So, to answer your point, that you started with was Dayton's full. There's plenty of land around Dayton. One of the things that the city does not have the ability to control, and I want to be very clear with this, we do not have the ability to control who the landowners sell to. Mm-hmm. That is up to the landowners. We as the city cannot control that. But we are trying to work with these developers, partner with Gulf Inland. Gulf Inland is absolutely blowing up right now. There's a bunch of announcements going to be coming out that is going to be hugely beneficial for the city, enable more growth, enable more jobs within the city, because I want to see those jobs here. I don't want everyone to have to go run to Mont Bellevue or run to Baytown or anything. I'm working to make sure that the jobs are here in Dayton and we have what we need. So again, I would love and appreciate your support. Love and appreciate your trust that you've had in me these last 3 years. I know it's not always been easy, but here we are, and I'm trying to make sure that everyone stays in the loop and we stay consistent.
Mr. Mayor, best of luck to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, sir.